Betleski. I am from the class of 1993, and I am a judge in the Lorain County Court of Common Pleas General Division. I believe my most memorable class experience, I think, was the opening weekend, in particular the ropes course. We were a very raucous class, and there were a lot of things that had happened throughout the whole year, and so it was difficult for me to figure out, oh, this one moment was particularly notable versus the others. And so I came back to the fact that I thought that the best part was getting together for the very first time, getting involved in group activities, and getting to know each other for the very first weekend was really probably the more memorable, because there were so many good events that transpired after that during the class year. Quite honestly, the most important thing I think I learned was learning more about Lorain County. I was born and raised here. Other than my years in college and law school, lived here. So by the time I was in the class of '93, I'd had, let's see, that's 37, so about 30 years of experience of living in Lorain County. And yet there was so much about the county I didn't know that really kind of took me aback throughout the whole year. Our class was, I think, the first, and it hasn't been done much since, was the first one that did it based upon a regional approach rather than subject matters. We had days for Lorain, days for Elyria, days for the eastern sections of the county, Avon Lake, North Ridgeville. It was a different approach, and I think that provided an opportunity to find out a lot more about geographically issues in Lorain County and locations in Lorain County than I might have otherwise experienced. Well, I think the best benefit you get from the immersion in the Lorain County experience is a knowledge base issue, from the standpoint that there's a lot of matters that happen, a lot of lifestyles, a lot of people that we don't get to know or see in our normal life experience, living at home, working, whatever it might be. You sort of focus on where you work, where you live, maybe where you go to school, go to church, whatever it might be, and you have a better sense of that. But that doesn't really give you a real broad sense of what goes on in Lorain County. So number one, it's to me, it's a better basis of knowledge about the county I'm living in. And why I think it's important is if the thought process of the program is we're trying to develop future leaders for Lorain County, or to try to improve present leaders in their knowledge and work on behalf of the county. Then in that regard, having a better base of knowledge with regard to what's going on in the county, getting a better sense of how people live in areas outside of where you're, sort of your comfort zone, or you're more knowledgeable, I think provides you with a better broad base to be a better leader. Okay, the value of the program, I think, is number one. During the program year, areas of the community get a sense that there is somebody interested in what's going on in their community, what's going on in their association, their group, whatever it might be. And so that I think that quite often when you have, whether it be government employees or social service employees or whatever it might be, it helps to realize that others are analyzing, looking at what you're doing, and seeing the benefit of what you do. So that's number one. I think it helps the approach or the mindset of people who are involved in these kind of programs that we look at. The other value is that we come out with better leaders, and I think that's kind of simplistic. I don't know if that's the mission statement of Leadership Lorain County. It probably, if it was, we'd have done it in like 30 more words. But the fact of the matter is that the more educated, the more experience an individual has, the better they are as a leader. And the broader their base of knowledge, the more likely they are to make a wise decision rather than maybe something that's based on a lesser scope of information. I think twofold. First of all, I look at it from the standpoint of my work as a board member because I serve on the board for my Kiwanis Club. I've served since 1993 on my Northbridge City Schools Endowment Board, and I also served for a number of years until I had to step off because of my job here on the Nord Center Board. I think that, number one, it gave me a better understanding of or appreciation for others' opinions and positions, and to attempt to draw those out from individuals. I think it taught me a better style of approaching people who are strangers, who I don't know well, whether they be new board members or outsiders who are coming to visit the board to present information to the board. So I think it made me more receptive to other people's opinions. The other aspect, for the point of what I do as a lawyer, and I've got a classic example of how it helped me as a lawyer, was I had a client whose wife was suffering from ALS and having a significantly difficult time getting a wheelchair, a motorized wheelchair for her. And in my class was Mike Smith, who I don't think has been actively involved in the county for some years, but at that time worked at Invacare. I was able to make a call to Mike at Invacare, and within a matter of like 24 hours, I had my client, his wife's wheelchair. So those contacts with other community leaders creates an opportunity for resources that assisted me as a lawyer. And then as a judge, you know, one of the aspects that I think about as as far as my political career, but also from the standpoint of what leadership Lorain County is about, I call them ripples, in the sense that if you're involved in different areas of the community, you create a knowledge base, or you create a coalition of friends, acquaintances, people who know you, whatever. And so by being involved in leadership Lorain County, I had an opportunity to meet with a number of leaders on a regular basis, and my continued involvement gives me an opportunity to meet with a lot of different people in Lorain County. The more people know you, assuming they like you, the more likely you are to get elected or re-elected. And so that created an opportunity for me to have contacts in some communities that I might not have otherwise had good contacts with because of that. I think that continues on. And so, you know, when I see the old classmates, or when I go to the new programs, whether it's as a, you know, the road rally that I judge every year, or the graduation ceremony where I sit at a table with 7 different strangers, all of a sudden when we're done, because most of the people who are involved in the program are very open, very talkative, yes, very talkative. You've developed a relationship with a new person from a different part of the community, and all of a sudden that creates an opportunity for you, whether it be politically or to have a better understanding of what's going on, situations I might confront in the courtroom. So this is a short answer with a short question with a long answer, okay. And I'm probably not done, but I'll probably be, I'm good for now. For their own personal skill development, because I think that provides that, whether it be learning leadership skills in and of themselves, or learning to deal with people who are active, aggressive, opinionated, you can learn a lot from that. You learn a lot about the county that you would not otherwise know, and that makes you a greater resource. It makes you more valuable in the community in that regard. Learning about what other people are doing also gives you some ideas or thoughts as to how you can be involved in the community and maybe be more helpful, bring more people to your particular organization or association, and to you know, to do the task that you're doing in your particular group or community organization. It's a heck of a lot of fun. Um, you know, I missed all that fun. Having an ability, a socialization ability like that, or an opportunity rather, socialization opportunity is we don't get that very often when we get to our age. The socializing opportunities are more at college, school, stuff like that, maybe church, but you know, your circle is usually the circle you've been with. It's your co-workers, your family, and stuff like this. And this gives you an opportunity to go outside your circle, and that creates a lot of benefits. It helps preclude you from only thinking that you're the center of the universe or your group is the center of the universe. You find out a lot about other organizations and individuals. And anytime you can develop your socialization skills, it helps you personally, professionally. So it's still a great bang for the buck. What makes a great leader? Tall, glasses, receding hairline? No. Okay. What makes a great leader? Willing to stand up for their own position, and being able to argue well for their position. A willingness to hear the other side and consider and work to an agreement with the other side. Willing to take risks, calculated risk, but risk just the same. Modesty, which is difficult because, you know, a lot of our leaders in our community may not be as modest as they ought to be. I guess my position is, and most people tell you that a judge gets black robes disease at least by the second term. And since I'm in my third term, I must have lost whatever modesty I ever had in that regard. But leadership usually entails a lot of power, and I think generally speaking, if you're not a good leader, you have a tendency to let that power go to your head, and you abuse it or misuse it. And so even though you may be very comfortable in your own skin and have a very good self-concept, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't be modest. And that's what I'm talking about, is a comfort level in yourself, but at the same time, not an abuse of your power over somebody else. And I think the good leader is one who is very, sometimes I get worried about the term self-confident, because I find that self-confidence equates to a lot of people to ego. And I think ego is one of the worst things a leader can have. Good self-confidence, I think, is important. I think the difference is that one who's self-confident can, if you're egotistical, my way is the only way and my way is the right way. If you're self-confident, I am capable of considering everybody's position or opinion in this regard and judge which one to be the best approach, even though it may not be mine. And so I think there's a distinction. Many of our leaders are egotistical. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're self-confident. And quite honestly, some who most abuse their position of power and leadership are those who need that power and that control to assuage their lack of self-confidence. And so person who is egotistical is not necessarily one who is self-confident. That's what I think are, and probably 25 friends who are very rich. That would also make for a great leader in the sense that they can always call on somebody for available resources. But remember, that's last on my list of things that are important. So,